Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am showcasing the team that brought me back up to the 2600s during the last few days of Great League. This team is based on Purple Kyogre's Galarian Stunfisk Lead, Deoxys Defense Safe Swap, and Tropius cover. However, I do not have a Tropius, so I opted for a Venusaur instead. I would definitely recommend this team for climbing ELO below Expert rank. I'll be showing an overview of this team, how to play the most common lead circumstances, and commentating over a 5-0 set, including a battle against a legend ranked player. Galarian Stunfisk on the lead catches Alolan, Marowak, Hypno, Galvantula, Bastiodon, Abomasnow, and Flyers. It is weak to water types, fighters, and most grass types. Venusaur hard covers Galarian Stunfisk for most fighters, grass types, and water types. Deoxys Defense on the Safe Swap soft covers Galarian Stunfisk from his weaknesses, while also covering Venusaur from Skarmory. Venusaur and Galarian Stunfisk cover the Deoxys Defense from Umbreon. The main goal of the Deoxys Safe Swap is to get shield advantage, so I usually never give a shield to my Deoxys unless it is clear that I can win back switch by spending a shield. Remember to save your Galarian Stunfisk for a possible Altaria or Alolan Marowak in the back if you haven't drawn it out with your Deoxys Defense. Facing an Alolan Marowak on the lead is the best possible scenario. However, if you do not play it correctly, the Alolan Marowak can take out your Galarian Stunfisk. In case you do face it in the lead, remember to throw straight Earthquake. If you throw straight Rock Slide, the matchup is very vulnerable to lag or IV factors. Shadow Abomasnow wins against Galarian Stunfisk in the 1-shield scenario going straight Ice Weather Ball. It also wins in the 2-shield scenario. What I like to do is play out the 0-shield scenario going straight Rock Slide. If they shield a Rock Slide, I swap to Deoxys Defense. Razor Leaf Tropius only loses to Venusaur. So, if you switch into Deoxys Defense, they might be inclined to stay in which case your Deoxys goes down. The best play in this scenario is to throw a Rock Slide as soon as you get it onto the Tropius, and then swap to Deoxys. This softens up the Tropius enough for Deoxys Defense to barely take it out, even without Rock Slide. Jellicent lead is tough, being able to beat Galarian Stunfisk and Deoxys. However, it is manageable if you play it right. If it is a Hex Jellicent, stay in, go straight Earthquake, and aim for shield advantage and not switch advantage. If it is a Bubble Jellicent, in which case it is worse for Galarian Stunfisk, swap to Deoxys Defense and aim for shield advantage as well. Just so you know, Deoxys Defense barely wins the 0-shield scenario, going for Thunderbolt and then Psycho Boost. Now I'm going to commentate over 5 battles. So, in the first match, I lead Galarian Stunfisk and my opponent leads Shadow Swampert. This is a terrible matchup, so I swap into Deoxys Defense, and they respond with an Alolan Ninetales. So, I don't have Rock Slide, so I'm not going to spend any shields to win switch advantage, and actually aim for shield advantage. I do grab a shield, which is great, perhaps my opponent thinking it was going to be a Rock Slide, and now I have shield advantage, so I'm good with letting my Deoxys go down. I'm able to go to another Thunderbolt actually, so this puts the Alolan Ninetales in farming range with my Galarian Stunfisk. Not wanting to get farmed down, my opponent switches into Pelipper, so I immediately respond with Venusaur. I realize here that the wing attacks from Pelipper, being super effective, are doing a lot of damage, and since they shielded, I'm not actually going to spend both shields on my Venusaur because I know I can tank a Weather Ball, and I also know that this Shadow Swampert has residual energy. So I'm going to let this go, barely tanking it, and just able to get to a Frenzy Plant, which takes out the Pelipper. They come in with their Shadow Swampert, trying to farm down, but I'm able to switch into my Venusaur, and right here they doubled up on Hydro Cannon. However, I pressed the Earthquake before they pressed the Hydro Cannon. They do win CMP, but now I'm able to get to the Earthquake and take the Shadow Swampert out. Then the Alolan Ninetales comes in, but it's too low to do anything, so I take it out as well. Good game, and well played. In this match, my opponent leads Deoxys. So in this occasion, I either store an Earthquake or throw the Earthquake, and then swap into my Deoxys defense. This time I store an Earthquake and then swap into my Deoxys defense, and my opponent actually threw Psycho Boost before they threw their neutral move, which doesn't really make sense because Psycho Boost lowers your attack, so perhaps it was a misclick. After their Deoxys tanks the Thunderbolt, they bring in an Azumarill. So, I do not shield this because I think it's an Ice Beam, and it is an Ice Beam, so I'm able to get to the Thunderbolt. This puts the Azumarill in around half health. I bring in my Venusaur, and knowing that there is Deoxys defense, I'm actually going to shield and try to farm down this Azumarill. Not wanting to get farmed down, my opponent swaps into their own Deoxys defense. Because they revealed they had Psycho Boost, I swap into my Galarian Stunfisk after they shielded one Frenzy Plant, and I throw the Rock Slide. It doesn't KO, unfortunately. However, all of Deoxys defense's moves are resisted from my Galarian Stunfisk, so it doesn't do too much damage. And my opponent brings in another Shadow Swampert. So I go for the Earthquake, going straight for the Nuke because I know that my Venusaur has residual energy, so either way it'll almost take out the Shadow Swampert. They do not shield, which puts the Shadow Swampert in farming range and not allowing them to farm down my Galarian Stunfisk. And then take it out with the Venusaur, and the Azumarill is also taken out with the Venusaur. Good game. In this match, my opponent leads Politoed, so I immediately swap into my Deoxys defense, and they store a little bit of energy, and then swap into a Skarmory. So I'm just going to go straight for Thunderbolt, and they do shield the first one, so knowing that I can regain switch advantage, I actually shield myself. It is a Sky attack, and I'm going to go for another Thunderbolt. Barely doesn't take out the Skarmory, but I'm just able to farm it down before it gets to another move. And they actually come in with an Alolan not Alolan Ninetales, a Kanto Ninetales. So instead of going for Thunderbolt, I'm actually going to go for a Psycho Boost because it's more guaranteed damage, since I think I can get to 2 Psycho Boosts, but I don't think I can get to 2 Thunderbolts. And I'm actually just able to get to 3 Psycho Boosts, which puts the Kanto Shadow Ninetales in the red. Now, this is a pretty big threat for my Galarian Stunfisk and my Venusaur, so I have to shield my Galarian Stunfisk. And they actually had 2 Weather Balls stacked, which is really unfortunate because it takes around 75% of my Galarian Stunfisk health. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to farm down the Kanto Ninetales. But I am able to get 1 extra farm off of the Kanto Ninetales on my Venusaur. Now I'm really hoping that this Politoed doesn't have Blizzard, and it doesn't. So that pretty much wraps up the game. Frenzy Plant take. In the third match, my opponent leads Shadow Dusclops. A very interesting pick. And Shadow Dusclops actually gets access to Fire Punch, which is super effective to my Galarian Stunfisk. I can't really swap out because my Deoxys Defense and Venusaur lose to it. And they actually swap into their Scrafty, absorbing the Earthquake. So now, instead of coming with my Venusaur, I'm actually going to come in with my Deoxys Defense and just completely farm down this Scrafty. Out comes the Dusclops, and I'm going to go for a Thunderbolt. They do not shield, and it's actually quite tanky. And they throw before I can get to another move. So Shadow Punch comes through and takes out my Galarian Stunfisk. So I'm going to come in with my Galarian Stunfisk, and I'm actually just going to go for Rock Slide here. Now I shield knowing that Fire Punch would take out my Galarian Stunfisk from this range, but they actually bait me with Shadow Punch, which is quite interesting. So just before I'm able to get to the second Rock Slide, they get to another move, but it's only a Shadow Punch and just barely doesn't take out my Galarian Stunfisk, so I'm able to take out the Shadow Dusclops. Actually, they shield, so I swap into my Venusaur, not wanting to get farmed down, and I'm going to save my shield for whatever is in the back. Shadow Dusclops Fire Punch does do a lot of damage, but I'm able to survive, and in the back is a Galvantula. So Sludge Bomb deals quite a lot of damage, and they're able to get to a move. Thankfully, I saved my shield, so I can get to another Frenzy Plant and take out the Galvantula. And then the Shadow Dusclops is at 1 HP and goes down. Very interesting team. Good game. Now, this is the last match, and I actually was matched up against a legend ranked player, even though I was only around the 2,600 ELO range at the time. So they lead Alolan Marowak, and this is kind of neutral for me. So I decided to shield the Shadow Bone, and I made a mistake here, and I went for Rock Slide. Now, I didn't know this at the time, but Galarian Stunfisk actually barely wins against Alolan Marowak when it goes straight Rock Slide, and it is very, very close. So, I do not shield this, and I'm not able to get to another Rock Slide. This is really unfortunate because I can't spend another shield since my Venusaur is pretty squishy, and I take super effective damage from this Alolan Marowak on my Deoxys Defense. So my plan here is to just absorb all this energy and damage that the Alolan Marowak has, and knowing that this is a Bone Club, I do not shield because it was too quick to be a Shadow Bone, and I just barely survive and take it out. And I'm spamming the swap button because I want to store the energy in case I need it later. So my opponent brings in Meganium, and even though this is a losing matchup for Meganium, they actually are staying in. So I'm thinking whatever is in the back is weak to Meganium, like an Azumarill. But actually it's a Politoed. And unfortunately I shielded the Earthquake even though it wouldn't KO, which is pretty unfortunate for me because this Politoed has Blizzard. So they shield the Frenzy Plant, and I don't have any Protect Shields remaining. The Blizzard one-shots my Venusaur, but thankfully, all of that energy that is on my Deoxys isn't going to go to waste. So the Thunderbolt takes out the Politoed, and I'm just barely able to get to a Psycho Boost at 1 HP in a Dream, taking out the Meganium. Good game, and well played. Very close battle. Thank you so much for watching. If this video helped you in any way, make sure to subscribe, like the video, and share it with your friends. Anyways, happy battling. Peace.